Good afternoon. This is Susan Givens. I'm the publisher of AutoSuccess, and we are doing a Driven Her Way with Stephanie Dean today. Stephanie is the head of training with Smart Digital at JD Power. Welcome, Stephanie.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited to talk to you today and be a part of this exciting series that you have going on.
Yes, and just in the background that I've done with you, you're exactly who we want to hear from. So let's get into it. What pulled you from running dealership operations to lead training at JD Power?
Yes, and that's a wonderful question because no one ever wants to leave the dealership world, I think, right? So I spent 14 years of my career running the operations, the digital operations, if you will, within a dealer group. And I learned a ton throughout that time, right? Whether it's running the website or digital or reputation, just a lot of those just skills that I learned throughout my time there. And I really wanted an opportunity to take that and start investing in other people on a different scale. So when I had the opportunity to move from the dealership over to my first consulting job with Ford Direct, it really gave me that chance to say, you know what, it's not just about my one dealer group. How can I really help other dealers lift their customer experience, lift their marketing, lift their digital presence out there? And it really just fueled me to go, okay, that's awesome. And then that led to a journey of being a consultant for a few years. And just throughout that time, again, taking the learnings I've had, I now have the opportunity to build a new division within our Smart Digital program at JD Power to take a lot of those learnings and really start to invest and empower other people with our internal teams and also with dealers across the country, which has been extremely exciting. So it's just been great taking everything I learned and I did in the store. And then I've learned in the past, 10 years, if you will, as a consulting side to just go, how can we help other people and invest in their growth and expand their footprint, if you will, for their dealership?
I want to dig in a little more on the dealership, your time at the dealership. So, how does your time inside dealerships shape the way that you're building this training program today?
Ah, that is awesome. So, a lot of what I teach today are practices or principles, if you will, that I did in the store. So, one of the series that we have going on right now is on lead process handling, which is something that I think some dealers have forgotten in the past years. When COVID hit, the inventory shortage happened. People just bought cars where they could find them, and a lot of dealers kind of forgot the fundamentals of selling cars and taking care of customers. And then you have all of the new wave of AI coming in and all of these consumer best practices, if you will. So we did not have AI or even online retailing when I was in the store, but seeing the I guess the evolution of digital and all of those things and applying it to things I did in the store, it just helps me have a different voice because when I go teach somebody, it's something that I've done before. It comes from experience. And a fun fact, there's a lot of things that have not changed in the past 20 years when it comes to taking care of customers and responding to internet inquiries or leads, if you will, or phone calls. A lot of those fundamentals are still valid today. They just may look a little bit differently because we get to tap into AI resources, or maybe a customer reaches out to us through an online shopping tool where I didn't have that, but that's a tool that people use today. But taking care of customers is still valid. So one of the things I think that gives me just an advantage in helping to teach dealers and even our internal consultants that we have here at JD Power, I get to help invest in their careers. And it's learning from what I did in the store and what I've learned and really applying it now to just a broader scale. So it's pretty cool to take something I learned, 20 years ago, and I can apply it even today to help teach someone how to do something. It's pretty cool.
It's kind of like back to the basics 2.0 with some
Mhm.
really awesome resources. I mean, what a
Yes.
great time it is to be in this industry. I
Yes.
agree.
And seeing, I'm sure, I think we have similar backgrounds, and I won't say for those watching how long, I've mentioned a couple of times, but
Yeah.
we've seen the evolution of digital, and it's tremendous, even in the past year and a half, right? With all this AI and all this stuff coming
Mhm.
out and being at the forefront of watching it evolve. We didn't have
Yep.
many internet leads back when I started, and now it's a thing, and it's bigger with that. So it's really cool to watch it evolve and staying on top of the industry. It's not just trends sometimes, right? You see the new flash in the pan, if you will, something shiny coming out, but it's really understanding how it's shaping automotive and how we can then be a part of it and help dealers succeed throughout all of, the trends, if you will.
What does great OEM and dealer training look like in 2026? And rolling into 2027 too. I mean, we're halfway through 26.
Yeah. So great training. I think it really just is about connecting with the audience that we're teaching. We do, as I mentioned, have to understand these emerging technologies. How does something like, I say AI a lot because I've just had a ton of training this year on AI that we've done, but that right now is the buzzword, right? But even in that, just for an example, a lot of people, a lot of dealerships aren't prepared to show up in the AI overviews or in the large language models, right? They've kind of forgotten, shelved SEO. They forgot some of those fundamentals, those basics in there. And now it's even more important. Reputation, reviews, super, super important to be seen, because a lot of what consumers are driven to do today is ask Google, right? Or any AI engine, anything. And we want the answer as consumers. We're kind of spoiled. We can blame Amazon and blame all these awesome technology and apps and delivery services on being spoiled, but we want answers, and we want them now, right? As a consumer, whether it's automotive or not. So it's understanding how the consumer wants to talk to somebody and then helping dealers prepare for that conversation. And it really is right now about getting back to some of the basics of teaching at SEO, is teaching these things and getting back to those so we can help dealers show up as the answer, as the expert, as the recommendation, because that's how consumers are wanting to engage with these search engines today. So that's really, to me, what it's been a big focus on this year, is not just focused on what's the cool product and what's the cool tool or technology coming out, but what are the elements behind it that's going to help the dealer succeed, regardless of the tool that they pick to use, regardless of the provider they work with. What are those best practices across the industry? And that's really what our focus has been this year, on helping dealers become educated on, again, not just emerging technology, but what to do about it and how to be found in today's consumer market. There's so many options out there. And we've done a lot this year on the AI, on the back to the basics. And I don't see that really changing much going forward. But the other part I mentioned, just in the example I provided on connecting my dealer experience to training, it's about lead handling. It's about really connecting with today's consumers once they've submitted that lead to you. So I think our training is going to continue just talking about helping dealers succeed and being found, being seen, making sure your website is visible by getting back to some of those SEO fundamental basics, and then really focus on taking care of that customer during that sales transaction before they buy. And then what does it look like after? So that's my sneak peek of roadmap, I guess, for the rest of the year and next year, really where our focus is going to be on.
I mean, I love what you said about how to be found, because you're right. There are so many different avenues to be seen or be found. And, how do you stick out from your competition? What do you do? And to be able to have some of those tools to help you be that dealership is key. What's a moment when you saw training really click for a dealer group, and what made it stick?
I think one of the moments recently we had that really stood out to me was we did a lead process boot camp in Chicago. And these boot camps are designed for our internet managers, sales managers, internet personnel, the people that take care of the leads and handle the phone calls. But in this session, we had a general manager that showed up because he really wanted to see what we were doing. And after this session, he immediately went to the field advisor that was with us. And he was like, "This was wonderful. When can you come to my store and teach the rest of my people? We have to do this." And that was just an aha moment, going, okay, we didn't really change things, right? We talked about this shift in perspective of the consumer. We talked about some of the emerging tools and technologies and how a dealer can use it, but it was really fundamentals of connecting with customers again. And some of those basics I mentioned we've done forever, but it was just a refresher and a reminder of that. And that was just a moment that really stood out to say, you know what, we're doing something right. we're connecting with consumers. And even, I think it was the owner too, was the general manager, one of those owns the store and runs it too, right? Busy person. But the fact that he saw value in what we put together, it meant a lot to those that, we put a lot of time and effort into the material, but the fact that he was immediately like, this was great, come to my store. And she was able to go out and have a very impactful conversation with the store. But we take that content, we go around to individual dealers as well. And it really just to see some of those aha moments and the conversations and the questions that come up, it lets us know we're on the right track with teaching and those things. So anytime we get engagement and it's not just us talking at people, I think that's value added. But that was just kind of one of those standout moments this year that was like, yes, we've done something. We're on the right track. This is some good stuff.
That's the goal, to be able to walk away with nuggets that they can apply at their dealership.
Absolutely.
Then you've won.
Yes.
All right, let's get
Absolutely.
to women in the industry a little bit. What would you tell a woman that's early in her career who wants to get more into the automotive industry? What advice would you give her?
I would say get into places where you can be connected. I know that may sound weird and like, what is networking? Because when I started, I did not have any type of mentorship program. I did not have women in anything type of conferences to go to. And I always felt like on an island. I was a manager around we had this oval table in the manager's office, and I was one of two women around this table. In my early 20s, I was extremely intimidating. And I always felt that I had to fight for my voice. I'm a very quiet person anyway, but I always had to fight to have a voice at the table. And I did feel alone a lot. I didn't know any other BDC managers or any other people that really did that except for my competition, which I didn't want to talk to, right? If I'm doing something right, I don't want to share that with those people. So I would give some advice, and don't be afraid to learn from other people, but really seek out colleagues. We have wonderful social platforms today. LinkedIn's a really good go-to. It's my go-to to professional network, but don't be afraid to seek out advice from other successful people, women and men. I think we can learn a lot from everybody, but I think I was very timid. I wanted to prove myself, right? Prove my worth and do it on my own. And that was a hard lesson to learn. So one that I would encourage other people to not take the long road, right? That hard road, but to go seek out advice from other people that have been in their shoes or are doing very well, and ask questions. Go prepared, right? Jot down questions, try to seek advice from those, and don't stop learning. One of the biggest mistakes I think we can make is any person in an industry, in a leadership position, however that looks, is thinking that we know everything, right? And if you walk in the room thinking you're the smartest person in the room, you're greatly mistaken. I think we need to stay with that open mind and the spirit of kind of lifelong learning, if you will, and being open to learn from other people. And that helps us grow.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other advice I think I would give is just find a way to invest in other people, especially if you're in a manager role. Turn that manager role into a leader role. And there's a huge difference of those two qualities, being a manager and a leader. But find a way to invest in those people around you, because if you can invest in them and help empower them to have a successful career and they work for you, you're going to look really good at the end of the day, but you're also setting them up for success. And you're going to leave a legacy of investing in other people and helping them rise. And I think that just goes a long way.
I couldn't agree with you more. And to go back to something you said early in our conversation too, when you're doing training and going back to the basics, like, with these new people coming into the industry, ask those basic questions. A lot of
Yes.
those basic questions we didn't know going in, and we really didn't have anybody to ask, but to be able to ask those and, not feel pressure or judgment, those are the questions that, weighed heavy on me that I wish I could have asked. So, that would be to kind of go back to the basics, ask those questions.
I want to expand on that a little bit because I think you brought it just a really good point there. When you have someone new, right? We kind of forget that new people may not have the experience that we've had, right? So if you have somebody new coming to your team, or if you're the new person, I just love that you mentioned that, because we don't always have a playbook ready to go and to teach them, but it takes time, right, for them to get settled and to really learn those things. So I thought that was an interesting point. When you have someone new in there, it may look a little bit differently for the first few months. But if we take that
Mhm.
time and invest in them and really help them kind of learn naturally with that, it goes a long way for their growth with that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, tell me about another cool partnership that you have. You have a great partnership with Dealer Teamwork that's really made a difference for you. Um, what did they do that really mattered to you?
Yeah, so I work closely with a lot of our provider partners, and Dealer Teamwork being one of them. Partner a lot with Anissa and a couple other people there with
Mhm.
Sean and Olivia. They do a lot to really help us on the training side. We do sessions for our dealers every month, and they've done several for us that really bring value added content. So they've been great partners with that. I don't work with them on the dealer side because, again, I've been on this side for a long time, but they work a lot with our dealer network on their services and stuff. But personally, they've been a great partner when we design these online dealer training webinars and things. And the content they bring is always fresh and it's always relevant. And we did one just a couple months ago where Anissa and Olivia just got in there, and it was so spot on. I'm like, it's like you were in my meeting the other day. It was so relevant and just really great content. So they've been wonderful. And then Anissa opened up this opportunity. So she's been, just a tremendous advocate of me personally and a supporter. And my goal is to be in the industry more, like in platforms like this. And I have a speaking engagement next week I'm very excited about. And she was just a really huge advocate of me and just a big fan, even before that. So personally, big fan of that. And I've just really benefited from a lot of the content they share, being, experts in the industry themselves.
I can't imagine just hearing what you have done with JD Power and what they do with Dealer Teamwork, like the amount of knowledge that you guys can bring to the table. So, thank you for what you're doing in our industry. I do have one final question for you. What are you trying to do now for women coming up behind you in this industry?
I think it's really about, I mentioned the legacy, it's leaving that. I want to, wherever my time is in automotive, which, honestly, I've been in my entire career, I think that's where I'll exit to whenever that happens. It's all automotive, but it's leaving a positive legacy. And it's making sure that no matter where I'm at, what position it is, and who I'm surrounded by, I get to be a positive influence to those people, the teams, anybody that happens to work for me as well. I want to be an encourager. I want to empower them and help them grow in their career. I have an excellent team member right now. She is fantastic. And I hope she stays on training forever, but I see so much potential even in her that I want to help her get to wherever her next is. So looking and understanding where people are today, tapping into their skills and resources, say, what, how can I help them get to their next level? I've had mentors that have helped me even get to where I'm at now. So that it's one of my goals here. But in the platform I have today, just speaking just in general, I guess, I want to make sure again it's a positive in interaction with that, but I'm able to just have the platform to say, what, here's today's challenges and what can I do to help people understand how to solve for those things, whether again it's team members at JD Power, whether it's I get to speak again at a conference next week. I'm very excited about. I don't know what I can, if I can name things on air, so I'm just not going to name drop, but
You're fine.
I'm
It's
very
women in
excited
automotive.
about that. Yes. Okay. I just didn't know. So but I get to speak
I'll
there,
be
and I'm
there.
excited about that because it's just a wonderful way to connect with other people, but how we can use our stories and our history and our moments to help encourage somebody else that may be afraid to ask those questions you mentioned, right? Being that new person, I don't know who to go to or what to do, but we get to be involved in places like Women Automotive or even like this and have wonderful conversations where we get to say, what, I can relate to you. This is a good thing and I'm not alone. And then how can we help invest in that person to strengthen where they're at, encourage them through times. I mean, if anybody watching has been in automotive for any amount of time, you can get discouraged very easily, especially if you're in a dealership world. That setting can be a defeating sometimes. We go, 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 go. If you have, I have a family, I work, a full time job. Sometimes it's hard to juggle those things. But when you know you're not alone, you can tackle those things a little bit easier. So the encouragement, the investing in others, that's really my goal. for no matter what position I'm in. That's really what I want to strive for.
I love everything about that. Stephanie, thank you. I know that our audience was able to really absorb some of that information and hopefully take it to heart, apply it at their dealership, apply it in their personal life. We appreciate you. Thank you to our audience. Stay tuned for more future Driven Her Ways.